I consider myself to be extremely fortunate. I've been a financial advisor for over 20 years, and the vast majority of my clients have already done a great job of building their nest egg. And now they're coming to me asking, how much longer until I can retire? What does retirement look like for me? Is there anything I should be doing between now and then to improve my situation? But in today's video, I want to take a step back because I know that 98% of us have not built that nest egg up yet. We're still in the process of doing it. And I want to talk about why that first $100,000 is so important and what's the magic that happens once you hit that $100,000. And I want to start off the video with a quote by Charlie Munger, who is one of the wealthiest guys in the United States, Warren Buffett's business partner. And Charlie has a great quote. He says, the first $100,000 is a bitch, but you got to do it. I don't care what you have to do. If it means walking everywhere and not eating anything that wasn't purchased with a coupon, find a way to get your hands on $100,000. After that, you can ease off the gas a little bit. And, this is pretty extreme language from Charlie, but I think he's dead on. That first $100,000 is so key. And why is that? Well, I want you to look at this chart here, which shows how much American families have saved for retirement. And you can see that it's less than 7.5% have over $500,000 saved in retirement accounts for retirement. And boy, the sooner you can get that first $100,000, the sooner it can start working for you. So the default American path, the default habits of Americans just are not getting us there. And I want to share with you a habit that will get you there. And that is do what you have to do to get that first $100,000 legally and ethically. But, it's okay to sacrifice a little bit along the way. But it doesn't have to be as hard as what many people think. Charlie Munger made it sound really hard, but you got to remember, Charlie said that quote probably a quarter of a century ago. So $100,000 today is a lot easier to obtain. So how do we do it? Okay, I want you to look at this chart here. And with this chart, there's a lot of stuff here, so just bear with me. I'm going to unpack it and walk you through it. This chart is what would happen if you started saving $10,000 a year. You put that aside and you got a 7% return on it. How long would it take you to increase that amount by $100,000? So we're starting off at the low end of the chart. We're starting off $0 saved, and then that goes up to $100,000. How long does that take? Takes just under 8 years, and yeah, that's a long time. But now look what happens. Let's skip over. So that's zero from 100,000. Now let's go from $300,000 to $400,000. Now remember, it took almost 8 years to do this at first, but between $300,000 and $400,000, it takes right at 3 years. Well, why is that? The reason is because that light blue line is how much you have to put in, and the purple line is how hard your existing money is working for you. So in that first year, when you went from $0 to $100,000, you don't have any money working hard for you. It's all new money going in. But between $300,000 and $400,000, now your savings represent just 30% of that growth, and your returns represent 70%. Okay, now let's keep going. Now let's go from $500,000 to $600,000. How long is that going to take you? Now remember, from $300,000 to $400,000, that took us right at 3 years. But to go from $500,000 to $600,000 is going to take a little over 2 years. So we slashed a year off of that. And then I also want you to look at, it's almost 80% of that growth is coming from your existing investments. Now I want to pause from here. We're going to go back in a second, but I want to show you what the household net worth is by age in the United States. And net worth is just the value of all of your assets minus the value of your debt. So for most of us, our biggest asset is going to be our home. Hopefully we have some money in our 401k accounts. And our biggest debts are going to be our mortgage, maybe a car loan, and unfortunately, maybe some credit card debt. But it's that difference between what your assets are and what your liabilities are. That's your net worth. And we're going to look at the median net worth in the United States by age. So less than 35 years old, you can see it's right under $40,000. 35 to 44, it's just under $136,000. And why is this important? I want to show the importance of getting this first $100,000 as soon as you can. And whether that means you're 25 years old or you're 55 years old, the concept's still the same. Do it as soon as you can. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time to plant a tree is today. So if you're not there yet, let's start today. Okay, keep going. 45 to 54. The median net worth is just under 250,000. 55 to 64. Now these are the years where hopefully you're looking and saying, can I retire? Can I take advantage of the youth of my senior years? You can see that's right under $365,000. And for most of us, that's going to be a pretty tight retirement. Could we make it work? We probably could. You know, fortunately for Americans, fortunately for Europeans, Canadians, Australians, we're fortunate that even with $365,000 for saving, that probably puts us for sure in the top 10% of the world population, and probably even higher than that. So, much of the world spells their retirement accounts. Here in the U.S., we spell retirement accounts 401k, or we spell it IRA. And in much of the world, retirement accounts are spelled KIDS, because there's no such thing as retirement. It's really your kids take care of you in old age. Okay, let's just keep going. I want to show you the rest of the results for this net worth. 65 to 74, it's just under 410,000. And then people start spending it down. You see that number get depleted. 75 and above is 335,000. Okay, back to this chart on saving 100,000 and things accelerating and exploding in a good way. So remember, for your first 100,000, it took almost 8 years. Then we went through the example of 300 to 400,000. That took 3 years. Then we did the example of 500,000 to 600,000, and that took a little over 2 years. Can we get that down to a year? At some point we could, but between 900,000 and $1 million, it's gonna take us right at 15 or 16 months to do that. You can see our new money in is less than 15%, and it's the growth of our existing accounts that's doing much of the heavy lifting, the 85%. So this is why it's so important to save that first 100,000. This is why things really explode in a positive way once you reach there. And I want things to explode in your life in a positive way. I want you to take full advantage of the youth of your senior years. Remember, if you're 60 years old, unfortunately, we likely have less than 1,000 weeks of healthy, active time remaining. I want you to get the most out of those years, out of those 1,000 weeks. My question to you is, how will you spend those 1,000 weeks? And if you want to see how you can, instead of 1,000 weeks, you can get 1,500 weeks, watch this video here, 5 reasons to retire as soon as you can. I'll see you in there. Thanks for watching this one. Bye-bye.